You're listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, featuring senior retail executives and experts in the global convenience and mobility industry.
Welcome to the Future of Convenience podcast. I'm here with three foodvenience people. My often co-host, Harry Milloff, CEO of the Mosley Group, Jesper Østergaard, CEO of Reitan Convenience Denmark. And as I was saying to you, Jane, if I'm in Denmark and I'm looking for healthy food, I deliberately always shop in your stores if I want to eat well, and it's very exciting. Now, and Jane Foodie, aka Jane Carroll,
yes.
Who's also got an interesting story as far as foodvenience, as we call it, is concerned, or food service, as the rest of the world calls it, is concerned. So we're going to have a very interesting chat today, all about foodvenience, and we're also going to think a bit about how technology is changing our world a little bit. And of course, we're here at NRF. It's all about technology and AI, and so what's that got to do with food? You know, that's one of the questions that we'll answer. So, Harry, great to be with you again.
It's great to be here, Dan.
What's your perspective on all this? What are you looking to find out today?
You know, there's so much that's continuing to change throughout the food and beverage space. And when we start thinking about convenience retailers, today at NRF, I've been learning so much about technology, so much about how it can intersect with consumer engagements and how customers are engaging, team members are engaging. I think today I really want to hear about how some of our guests are attacking these issues and where they see the future headed.
So Jesper, you go first. Tell us a bit about what you do in the Danish market and why you're very passionate about food service, foodvenience.
Sure. I mean, we are operating a convenience chain under the brand of 7-Eleven, but we have for the last 15 years focused a lot on food and developed a lot of different products in our own private label range. We are selling a lot of food items today. If we look at the 7-Eleven world, I think there are only 2 countries selling as much food per store per day as we are, and that's actually Japan and Hawaii. Why are we here? I think the main reason is, of course, to understand what kind of technology is there to help us in doing what we do, but even better. And then I think it's interesting to visit this conference because you meet a lot of different retailers. Usually when I go on conferences, it's all about convenience. So we meet the same people at the same conferences. Here we meet all kinds of retail. I think it's interesting to be in New York. First of all, I love New York myself as a private person.
Me too. I mean, it's one of my favorite American
it is amazing. But I think when you look at retail, New York is really demonstrating. Every time I come here, I see a lot of new ideas. They might not be there the next time I go here, but just to get inspired and get good ideas, I think it's really great to be here.
So we're kind of in the convenience space, or restaurants as well, and QSRs in Harry's case. But Jane, tell us about what you're bringing here to the discussion and where you're coming from.
Well, I actually am in the process of scaling, and I did not want to go the traditional route. I didn't want to go into traditional grocers on the shelves. I am a perpetual student, and technology and AI I'm obsessed with. I use it all the time. And my company is trying to bridge the gap between convenience but high quality food. And so we have a flash frozen food line, and I am really looking for standard operating procedures to have help with that. It'll streamline my workforce as well. And I am obsessed with vending. It's come a long way from the old types of machinery. And I would love to see like a Jane Foodie self-contained pop-up that can be anywhere that would actually sell my food, and maybe eventually down the road with more technology, do a little reheat station as well. So,
you're doing very well. But tell us a bit about your product. What are we going to eat if we try your product?
Yes. So my product. I was born and raised in the Bronx. 4 generations.
So we're in your backyard today.
Yes, you're in my backyard. 4 generations in the Bronx. Irish. Way back when, not the best cooks. So my mother was a horrendous cook, and we lived in a neighborhood that was filled with a melting pot. We had Germans, we had Spanish, we had Italian, and I would make friends with kids whose grandmothers were the best cooks in the neighborhood. And every Sunday, that's where I would go. So my recipes are, and I have many of them, but they're old school, home style, high quality, made from scratch, the way we used to make food. And then we flash freeze it, which means bringing it down to -40 in about 90 minutes. And that retains all of the texture, nutrients, and flavors within that food. So I'm trying to bridge the gap between what people would consider frozen food as like, a gray steak or a bad aftertaste. It's really nature's preservative, and the only way you can actually preserve food in its natural state without adding any chemicals. Whether those chemicals, they say, are natural or not, and truly, if you taste the food, you will taste my Bronx roots in the food. And with this technology, you take it out of your freezer, it tastes just like you cooked it fresh.
That's so cool, Jane.
I should have brought samples.
I can't wait to try some of this food. And I love how you talk about your fascination with vending. And Dan, in our time, maybe about 18 months ago now, you took me and touring around Denmark, and I remember just and through the airport seeing the kind of pioneering of vending with 7-Eleven and some of the work that you've done, Jesper. And I'm curious, what you think about vending today, and if you're, there's some technology here on the show that's kind of taking it up a notch with robotics and others. And I'm curious, where do you see vending going, and is this something that you're still leaning into?
Well, first of all, I think what we have done in Copenhagen Airport is quite unique. And to be honest, a very short story about it. We were part of a tender in Copenhagen Airport about physical stores and vending machines. And I said from the very first beginning that let's go for the physical stores because we didn't know about vending. And my perception was, vending is something you put in a coin, and if you're lucky, some product get out. It's always a chocolate bar or a water. We didn't want to do that. But I realized that the tender was either both or nothing. So we have to develop, and we decided that we have to be more advanced than what we had at that time. So we were traveling to both Japan and Thailand to see what 7-Eleven was doing there in vending. And I think we have a completely different perception of what vending is today. And I think your idea about your food in a vending machine is brilliant.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that at all.
Yeah.
And to be honest, your products, if you were closer to Denmark, we would definitely test it.
I may need to move.
Yeah, do that. You're very welcome. Because we are actually looking into different solutions right now, talking to different partners and suppliers regarding, it won't be frozen food, but food cooked and produced as you tell.
Right.
And I think your website said with only raw materials you can pronounce,
right,
which I really liked.
Yeah.
So if you were closer, we would definitely test it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in vending. And since we did this in Copenhagen Airport, we have had so many contacting us from offices, bigger companies that say, can we have one of these vending machines in our environment? And we have started implementing them at big hospitals as well. So I think the exciting part of it is that we are selling so much more than just beverages and chocolate bars. We are selling quite a lot of food from these vending machines as well. We are selling coffee, freshly brewed coffee, bakery items. And compared to the operator that had these vending machines before, our turnover per store per day has tripled. So I think it is because we have developed a new product range. And then we are following up. We have an app-based system that tells us when something is close to be sold out. So we have a team driving around in the airport filling the machines all the time, so we are never sold out. So it's really exciting, and I think there are a lot of opportunities in that in the future.
Just staying on the point, what's the consumer trend that you're both tapping into here? Maybe you could go first, Jane.
I believe that people, my company doesn't follow trends, and we don't follow buzzwords. We keep the food very consistent and clean label. And I think that there's a gap between convenience and real traditional food made the way it used to be made. So we're kind of filling that gap. I think there's a huge surge of people wanting that convenience, not only for themselves, but for their families, in college campuses. And this is why I'm a little obsessed with the vending. Because in those areas, there is a huge call for convenience, quick, healthy food.
And you have to make it more accessible, to your point.
Absolutely, make it more accessible, absolutely. So all of my food is pre-cooked. So it's basically no thawing either, which is huge. A lot of frozen food, you have to thaw it first, not ours. So it's strictly no thaw, heat and eat. So I think that's kind of the void that we're seeing in the industry. And also consistency. Like there's a lot of fast food restaurants and you need that consistency where we're a commissary kitchen, so we cook everything under one roof and it goes out to the public. So the consistency is key for us. I think people want consistency. They're loyal to a brand that has consistency and they want to know who the people are that are running the ship.
Yeah. Jesper, comments on the consumer trend that you're chasing as well.
I think we're chasing different things. But what we see in Scandinavia is that people are becoming more health focused than they've ever been before, and they are very much focused on what you're saying, not eating chemicals, not eating additives, and having a pure natural meal. We see a lot of focus towards functional foods and beverages. So what does this do for me? And then I buy it if it does something. It's not enough just that it's low on calories or fat or sugar anymore. It has to do something for the consumer. We see a tendency as well towards, one of the challenges we have right now is that coming out of the couple of years with very high inflation rates, the price sensitiveness is really, really high. So right now we are trying to balance the expectation of high quality products with the sales price and still having a margin. Which I think is a challenge in many European markets right now, perhaps even here. Yeah. But the price sensitivity is something we are working with a lot. But functional foods, healthier choices, which is not new to us. We started working with healthier choices like 15 years ago, and we said if you are a salesperson in a car 5 days a week, we want to be able to offer you a healthy choice both for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The choice is yours, but we should have the products. But that has grown dramatically over the last couple of years.
Yeah, Harry, you comment on this as well. In terms of the movement, you can see the shift that's going on in the industry.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels to what you describe here in the United States, and I think that there's a lot of movement towards higher quality, healthier items while balancing that with budgets and value. And it's a challenging proposition, but we're seeing this across the convenience sector, also across the QSR sector. We're seeing folks in QSR and fast casual that are looking at how can we create value propositions that are, people are thinking around price per calorie in some extent. And how full are you going to feel for how much are you going to spend? And people are approaching in different ways, but it's so interesting just kind of hearing around your lean in on elements of automation and vending. And Jane, I'm curious, as you look at your cafes that you're opening up, are you leveraging any pieces of equipment or things in the back of house that are making this frozen direct to cook process make a lot of sense? Because that skipping of the thaw is major.
It's huge.
When you start thinking around the thawing and then the waste associated, if you over thaw too much product and you don't sell it and having to waste that, when you're going from frozen to cook, you really are able to maximize your products and make sure that everyone you're cooking off is selling. And so I'm curious, just how are you attacking that?
Well, it's interesting, right, that we're talking technology, fast ovens are huge. Mm-hmm. If you go into any coffee shop now, there's a little oven, takes up very little space, it doesn't need venting, and my food will be reheated in 90 seconds. I love the idea of frozen food, number one, because the technology is so good, it tastes homemade right out of the freezer, but number two, food waste. So if you're trying to control your costs and your budget, we throw out 40% of all the food that we purchase in the United States. And people have good intentions, right? They buy the food, I'm gonna cook for my family, I'm gonna make and who has the time? So that's really the gap that we're trying to fill. Not only healthier meals, but also food waste so that people can control. And with 2-year shelf life, you know, you can have meals for as long as you want. Get those chest freezers down in your basement. I mean, everybody should have one. That's what I give for Christmas, freezers.
Yeah. Let me throw Gen Z into the discussion here and how they look for things, how they follow trends, what motivates them. And, you know, this is a generation that talks fluent TikTok. And you're seeing quite a revolution happening in big cities. You know, London is, I mean, we do a lot of research looking at, you know, what's doing well in London, which are the small startups that are growing into multiple businesses, you know, and we're seeing I think it's a revolution happening, and it's being driven by social media, particularly video. TikTok obviously is the most important. Are you thinking about your businesses? Are you aware of that, and are you switched on to that?
Yes, I would say yes, we are. And I'm laughing because you're saying that Gen Z and TikTok is sort of belonging to each other. But I'm on TikTok as well, although I'm not Gen Z. And I love it. I think so much is going on, and I get so much information out of it. Yes, we are focused on it, and we started working on TikTok as a company like a couple of years ago, and that has grown extremely fast. And we follow TikTok across the world to spot trends. A good example was when Dubai chocolate came. I mean, who knew about that? We very fast got a Danish producer to produce that product for us, private label on the 7-Eleven, and we sold a lot of it in the beginning. So following TikTok, both to get an idea of what is trending across the world, but as well to reach your customers is really important. So, you know, traditional marketing, as we did 5 years, 10 years ago, we don't do anymore. It's all about social media, and especially TikTok and Instagram. And I think you said it yourself, one of the tours I was with you in London, you said that if a product or a concept is Instagrammable, it will be successful, right? So that's the way we are thinking today, really.
I love that. Jane, comment on that.
Yeah, I'm a little, you know, for the technology lover that I am, I've been a little slow on the uptake to TikTok. Instagram was more my generation, and that is my goal this year, is to really focus on TikTok and the younger audience.
I think the thing is, I mean, you're going to do well when you do that, because it seems to me, you know, what works online is, you know, if you've got great products and people want them and they're good for you, it's gonna you've got huge potential on these channels. It's not just about big marketing budgets anymore. It's about honesty, and it's about better products.
Which is
and
great.
It's great for a business like yours.
For you know, small makers, I mean, it's fantastic that you can actually grow a business without a huge marketing campaign behind you. I mean, my most famous videos are my grandson, who loves cauliflower, right? So, and I say, if all of my vegetables, your 6-year-old will eat them, and if they won't, send them back, because that's how confident I am about the way we do our recipes. So yeah, I am concerned about like the TikToks. I'm also keeping my ear open for what's coming, because the whole landscape seems to be changing, even with influencers, right? It used to be you have to have a celebrity influencer. Now they're saying, no, that kind of turns people off because they know it's paid and they know it's phony. So my goal this year is to just get in front of the camera and be who I am, and hopefully cook my food and show them how easy it is and see what happens.
You're the brand, Jane.
That's it.
It's really interesting, and just kind of talking about the component of social media and how powerful it can be to drive sales and attention. And it, you know, has gotten its way even into our practice at the Mosley Group, where when we're developing new menu items for our large chain clients, one of the key stipulations that we look at is the Instagrammableness of that food, or how it can apply to TikTok. And that comes down to when you think about the packaging specifications. It comes down to when you're building the recipe and you select the type of cheese that would go in, that actually once it's cut, the cheese won't fully cut, and when you pull that slice off, you start to get an ooey gooey kind of drip. And you know, there's all these little touch points in terms of how the sauce is applied. Does it hang over the sides of the bread? That start to create the story that when someone is sitting down and enjoying your food, that they might get that feeling, look at that, this is something that I should put on my social media. And if you can create that kind of wave strategically from the beginning, it can become very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think if you look at the small operators, location doesn't matter as much as it used to if you've got a really, really nice business. For instance, the bakery that we love in London. So this is a challenge for the big businesses because can they perform to the same level as some of these small sort of interesting entrepreneurial food trends? And I think if you look at some of the big businesses are actually doing this really well. I mean, I would really recommend, if you know all about it, yes, but take a look at Marks and Spencer's and what they're doing in London. They've always had massive investments in food innovation, product development, and they change, 25% or more of their product range changes every year. That's been going on for decades. Suddenly it's really, really relevant to them because they've got something to talk about.
Right.
Always, and new stuff, and it's really, really high quality. So, I mean, big brands can do this too, but it's they've got to have the products.
Right.
The products is king. If you want to succeed.
I also, with equipment these days, with technology, the equipment is changing, especially cooking equipment. So you taste my equipment is more robotic now. So it's traditional big pots, but they're 5 feet tall by 5 feet wide. And we actually do use a griddle that automatically flips the pancakes because I think a lot of the food that was ultra processed, they used machinery that looked like cement mixers. And it took away the flavors and the real textures. So I think technology, that's why I'm so in love with it too, is the cooking equipment is going back to the basics, but with robotics, robotic arms that automatically spin it so I don't have to have somebody stand there for an hour, and flipping pancakes and testing. So it's I think you're gonna, if you taste my food, you'll taste it. You'll taste that difference.
Final question from me before we wrap up is, when can we come down to the Bronx and do that?
Whenever you want, except I'm not in the Bronx anymore. I'm in Westchester County. I'm a sellout.
Well, look, fantastic conversation. Jane, lovely to meet you. Jesper, thanks for coming back again. And Harry, great to work with you as ever. And thank you for listening to Future Convenience Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, produced by Dan Munford, Jenna Ferguson, and Lorraine Evans. It is produced and edited and mixed by Carolyn Schneer, and music is provided by Jukebox Music. Learn more at globalconvenience.com.